You didn't wake up tired for no reason. Your heart has been working overtime, trying to stay strong, trying to stay faithful, trying to keep going when you don't feel supported. The angel says, God sees the tired places you never talk about, not the tiredness of the body, the tiredness of the soul, the kind of tired that comes from holding pain quietly, from being the strong one, from trusting God even when nothing around you changes. You didn't become emotionally tired because you were weak. You became tired because you cared deeply, because you loved sincerely, because you kept believing longer than most people would. The angel says, God is not disappointed in you. He is close to you, very close. When you were emotionally tired, God does not demand more effort. He gives strength differently, not by pushing you harder, but by carrying you when you can't carry yourself. You may feel like you are failing because you can't pray like before, because your faith feels quiet, because your joy feels far away. But the angel says, God measures faith differently. Sometimes faith is not loud. Sometimes faith is just still staying, still breathing, still trusting, even when your heart feels empty. That counts. That matters. God gives strength by letting you rest without guilt. He does not rush you. He does not shame you. He does not compare you to who you used to be. He meets you where you are now, emotionally tired, mentally worn, still believing. The angel says, God understands your silence. You don't have to explain it. He already knows what broke your heart. He knows what you lost, what you prayed for that didn't happen, what you are still carrying alone. When your emotions feel heavy, God's strength shows up as peace before solutions, as reassurance before answers, as presence before change. You are not being ignored, you are being held. God strengthens you by reminding you that you are not responsible for fixing everything. Some burdens were never yours. Some battles belong to Him. The angel says, you were never meant to survive this season by yourself. That is why you feel tired. You've been trying to be strong without resting in God's strength, and that is not a failure. That is a signal that it is time to lean, to release, to let God do what only He can do. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength feels quiet. It feels like being able to breathe again, like the pressure easing, like knowing you don't have to pretend anymore. You don't have to smile. You don't have to explain. You don't have to prove faith. God already knows you believe. The angel says, your tiredness is not permanent. This is not the end of your joy. This is not the end of your story. This is a pause, a holy pause, where God rebuilds you from the inside out, not fast, not loudly, but gently. God gives strength by reminding you that your worth has not changed, your value has not dropped, your future is not canceled. You are still loved, still chosen, still protected, even now, especially now. If your heart feels weak, God's strength is already working. If you feel like giving up, God is already sustaining you. You would not still be here if He had let go. The angel says, you don't need more motivation. You need rest in truth. Truth that says God is with you. Truth that says this season will pass. Truth that says you are not alone in what you feel. God strengthens you by walking with you one moment at a time, not demanding tomorrow, not pressuring healing, just staying present. And that is enough for now. You don't need to do anything right now. Just stay here. Let these words meet you where you are. The angel says, emotional tiredness is heavy because it comes from carrying things you were never meant to carry alone. You carried expectations. You carried disappointment. You carried unanswered prayers. You carried the weight of staying faithful when it hurt, and God saw all of it. When you are emotionally tired, God does not speak in commands. He speaks in comfort. He does not say, "Try harder." He says, "Come closer." You may feel like your heart has gone quiet, but quiet does not mean empty. It means something deep is being healed. The angel says, God's strength often shows up as patience with yourself, as forgiveness for your own limits, as permission to slow down without fear of falling behind. You are not behind, you are being restored. Emotionally tired people often feel guilty for resting. They think faith means endurance without stopping. But God never asked you to break yourself to prove belief. He asked you to trust Him with your weakness. The angel says, God gives strength by taking the pressure off your heart, pressure to perform, pressure to be okay, pressure to have answers. You don't need answers to be loved. You don't need clarity to be held. You don't need energy to be chosen. When you feel emotionally tired, God's strength becomes a quiet reassurance that you are still safe, safe in His hands, safe in His timing, safe in His care. Even if your mind keeps racing, even if your emotions feel unstable, even if your faith feels fragile. The angel says, fragile faith still counts. A trembling heart is not a faithless heart. It is an honest one. God strengthens you by reminding you that you don't have to pretend with Him. You don't have to dress up your prayers. You don't have to explain your pain perfectly. Sometimes strength is just sitting in God's presence without words, letting Him see you, letting Him stay. When you are emotionally tired, your body feels it. Your thoughts feel heavier. Your patience feels thin. And God understands. He created your emotions. He is not surprised by them. The angel says, God is not waiting for you to feel better before He helps you. He meets you inside the tiredness, inside the confusion, inside the ache you don't know how to name. God strengthens you by reminding you that this is not forever, that seasons change, that heaviness lifts, that joy returns in its own time. Even if right now you can't imagine it. You were not broken, you were worn, and worn things can be restored. The angel says, God does not rush healing, He protects it. He gives strength by shielding your heart from more than it can handle. That's why some doors closed. That's why some plans slowed. That's why some connections ended, not to punish you, but to preserve you. Emotionally tired people often think they are failing God, but God sees them as brave, as faithful, as enduring under weight most people never see. The angel says, your tears were prayers, your sighs were prayers, your quiet endurance was worship. God strengthens you by turning your pain into depth, into wisdom, into compassion. You will one day understand why this season shaped you the way it did. But today, you don't need understanding. You need rest. And God offers that freely. Rest from self-judgment. Rest from pressure. Rest from pretending you are stronger than you feel. The angel says, God's strength flows when you stop fighting your tiredness and start trusting His care. You don't need to fix your emotions to receive strength. You don't need to feel hopeful to be held. You don't need clarity to be guided. God strengthens you by walking beside you in the dark without leaving. If your heart feels heavy, it means you are human, and God loves you in your humanity. The angel says, tonight, you can release what you have been gripping too tightly. You don't have to solve tomorrow. You don't have to explain yesterday. You only have to breathe. God is here, and His strength is already holding you. Let your breath slow. There is no rush here. The angel says God's strength often arrives when you stop trying to be strong. You have been holding yourself together for a long time, smiling when you are empty, showing up when you are drained, believing when you were unsure, and God noticed every moment, every effort, every silent tear. When you were emotionally tired, God does not ask you to explain yourself. He already knows how heavy it feels. He knows how confusing it is to love Him and still feel worn out. The angel says, God is not offended by your tired heart. He is compassionate toward it. You may feel like you are losing parts of yourself, your excitement, your passion, your confidence, but God sees it differently. He sees you shedding what you no longer need, strength that came from pressure, faith that came from fear, endurance that came from obligation. God is replacing it with something gentler, something deeper, something rooted in trust. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the ability to be honest without shame, to say, I am not okay, and still feel loved. That is real faith. The angel says, God strengthens you by reminding you that you are allowed to be human in His presence. You don't have to impress Him. You don't have to prove loyalty. You don't have to hide weakness. He already chose you knowing all of this. You may feel disconnected from joy right now, but joy has not left you. It is resting, waiting for the right moment to return. And God will bring it back when your heart is ready. The angel says, God does not heal you by force. He heals you by love. Love that is patient, love that listens, love that stays even when progress is slow. Emotionally tired hearts often feel misunderstood. People say, just be positive, just pray more. But God never simplifies your pain. He sits with you in it. He validates it. He carries it with you. That is how He gives strength, not by denying your pain, but by sharing the weight. The angel says, God is not waiting for the old you to return. He is welcoming the new you being formed, wiser, softer, more compassionate, more grounded in Him. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength looks like gentle reminders, small moments of peace, unexpected calm, a quiet assurance that you are not alone. Those moments matter. They are signs that God is close. You may feel like your prayers are short now, simple, sometimes just a sigh. But the angel says God hears those too, especially those, because they come from the deepest place. God strengthens you by meeting you in simplicity. You don't need long words. You don't need perfect faith. You only need a willing heart, and you have that, even now. The angel says you are allowed to outgrow old expectations, expectations of yourself, expectations of others, expectations of how faith is supposed to look. God's strength flows when you stop forcing and start trusting. You may feel emotionally fragile, but fragility is not the opposite of strength. It is the doorway to it, because fragile hearts lean more fully on God, and God never fails those who lean on Him. The angel says, you don't have to figure out the rest of your life tonight. You don't have to heal everything. You don't have to be ready. You only need this moment, this breath, this quiet trust. God is here. He has not stepped away. He has not grown tired of you. He has not changed His mind. He is strengthening you right now in ways you cannot yet see. You are doing enough by staying here. The angel says, God's strength is not loud. It does not announce itself. It settles in quietly, like calm after a storm. You may still feel tired, even while God is strengthening you. That does not mean nothing is happening. Healing often feels slow because it is gentle, and God is gentle with you. When you are emotionally tired, your mind replays old moments, things you wish you said, things you wish you did differently. But the angel says, God is not asking you to relive the past. He is asking you to release it. You learned what you needed from that season. You survived what you could. And now, God is leading you forward without rushing you. God strengthens you by loosening your grip on what hurt you, not all at once, but little by little, until one day it no longer controls your heart. You may feel emotionally stretched thin, like there is not much left to give, and that is okay. The angel says, God does not drain you, He restores you. If something keeps draining you, it is not from Him. God strengthens you by protecting your peace. Sometimes that means distance. Sometimes that means silence. Sometimes that means saying no without explaining yourself. You are allowed to choose rest. You are allowed to choose peace. You are allowed to choose healing. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes permission. Permission to slow down. Permission to feel. Permission to be honest, permission to not have everything together. The angel says, you don't owe anyone your energy right now. What you have is being used to rebuild you. God strengthens you by reminding you that your heart is valuable. It deserves care. It deserves patience. It deserves time. You may feel disconnected from God at times, like He is quiet. But quiet does not mean absent. Sometimes God is quiet because He is close enough that words are not needed. The angel says, God is sitting with you in this tired place, not judging, not disappointed, just present. When your emotions feel heavy, God's strength shows up as the ability to keep choosing life, even slowly, even imperfectly. That is courage. That is faith. You are braver than you realize. You have kept going through things that would have stopped others, and God knows it. The angel says, you are not invisible to God. Your quiet endurance matters to Him. Your silent faith is seen. Your tired heart is treasured. God strengthens you by reminding you that you are not alone in this journey. He walks with you, step by step, even when you feel behind, even when you feel unsure, even when you feel worn out. If your heart feels fragile, God's strength is steady. He is not shaken by your emotions. He is not overwhelmed by your questions. He is not distant from your pain. The angel says, you can lean fully on God without fear of falling. He will not drop you. He will not let you go. He will not leave you unfinished. This tiredness is not the end of your strength. It is the place where God's strength becomes enough. You don't need to force tomorrow. You don't need to rush healing. You don't need to pretend peace. God is working, even when you feel still, even when you feel quiet, even when you feel unsure. The angel says, tonight, you can rest your heart. You can stop trying to carry everything. You can trust that God is doing what you cannot, and that is enough for now.
Stay right here. There is nothing you need to fix, nothing you need to prove. The angel says God's strength is already working, even if you don't feel different yet. Feelings are slow to catch up to healing, and that is okay. When you are emotionally tired, your heart wants certainty. It wants to know when this will end, when peace will return, when joy will feel natural again. But the angel says God often gives strength before he gives answers, because strength helps you stand while answers take time. You may feel frustrated with yourself. You think, I should be better by now. But God is not rushing you. He is walking with you, and walking takes time. God strengthens you by reminding you that progress is not always visible. Sometimes progress looks like not breaking, like choosing to stay, like getting through the day without giving up. That matters more than you realize. The angel says God sees your effort, even when no one else does. He sees you trying to stay kind, trying to stay faithful, trying to stay hopeful when your heart feels empty. That effort is not wasted. It is shaping you. Emotionally tired hearts often feel misunderstood. They laugh on the outside and ache on the inside. They help others while needing help themselves. And God knows. He knows the weight you don't speak about. The angel says God strengthens you by becoming the place where you don't have to perform, where you don't have to be okay, where you don't have to explain. You can just exist and be loved. When your emotions feel heavy, God's strength becomes a quiet inner stability, not excitement, not loud joy, but a calm knowing that you are not abandoned. That calm is powerful. You may still cry, you may still feel tired, but beneath it there is safety, and that safety comes from God. The angel says God is not waiting for you to feel strong again. He is teaching you how to live without depending on strength, how to live by trust, how to live by grace, how to live by resting in Him. That kind of life does not burn you out, it sustains you. Emotionally tired hearts often fear they are becoming weak, but God says you are becoming real. Real faith is not pretending. It is trusting God with your true state, and you are doing that right now. The angel says your tiredness is not a sign to quit. It is a sign to draw closer, to let God carry what you cannot, to stop punishing yourself for needing help. God strengthens you by reminding you that dependence on Him is not failure. It is wisdom. It is maturity. It is faith grown deep. You may not feel inspired. You may not feel motivated, but you are still connected to God's purpose, still guided, still protected, still loved. The angel says this season will soften your heart without hardening your spirit. It will teach you compassion. It will teach you patience. It will teach you how to care for yourself without guilt. And that is strength you will carry for the rest of your life. God strengthens you by preparing you for future joy. Joy that does not depend on circumstances. Joy that is steady. Joy that is grounded. Joy that lasts. Even now, God is planting seeds you cannot see, seeds of peace, seeds of clarity, seeds of renewal. They will grow in time. The angel says you don't need to rush what God is doing slowly. Slow work is careful work, and God is careful with you. If your heart feels tired, it means it has been carrying much, and God honors that. He does not shame you for it. He covers you with grace. Tonight, you can let go of the pressure to be strong. You can let go of the fear of falling behind. You can trust that God's strength is already enough. You are not alone. You are not failing. You are being held. Let your mind unclench. There is nothing chasing you here. The angel says God's strength does not come with pressure. It comes with relief. You may still feel emotionally tired because healing does not erase memory. It teaches your heart how to live without pain ruling it, and that takes time. God is not impatient with you. He is intentional. When you are emotionally tired, you may feel disconnected from your own emotions, like you don't know what you feel anymore. The angel says that is your heart catching its breath. God is not asking you to feel everything at once. He is helping you feel safely again, little by little, moment by moment. God strengthens you by slowing your inner world so it does not overwhelm you. You are not numb forever. You are protected for now. Emotionally tired hearts often fear they are fading, but God sees you being preserved. Your sensitivity is not gone. It is resting, and it will return with wisdom attached to it. The angel says God does not waste pain. He transforms it, not by pretending it didn't hurt, but by giving it meaning in the right time. Right now, your job is not meaning. Your job is rest. God strengthens you by lifting the burden of understanding everything. You don't need answers to be secure. You don't need clarity to be loved. You don't need energy to be chosen. You already are. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength looks like a soft inner voice saying, "You are allowed to stop." Stop explaining, stop proving, stop pushing. Just be. The angel says God is not measuring you by your output. He is watching your heart, and your heart is still turning toward Him. That matters more than anything else. You may feel like you are repeating the same day, the same feelings, the same tiredness, but God sees progress you cannot. Progress in how you respond. Progress in what you no longer tolerate. Progress in how you protect your peace. Those are signs of healing. God strengthens you by giving you discernment. You may feel quieter now, less reactive, less eager to explain yourself. That is not weakness. That is growth. Emotionally tired people often become more selective with their energy, and God approves of that. You are learning who and what deserves access to your heart. The angel says you are allowed to change your pace. You are allowed to change your priorities. You are allowed to choose rest over approval. God's strength flows when you stop living for expectations that exhaust you. You may feel guilty for needing space, for needing quiet, but God does not guilt you. He invites you. Invites you to lay down what is heavy, invites you to receive what is gentle. God strengthens you by reminding you that you don't need to be everything to everyone. You only need to be honest before Him, and you are. The angel says God is rebuilding your inner foundation, something steady, something unshakable, something that will not collapse under future storms. This work happens slowly because it is deep. Surface fixes are quick. True healing is careful, and God is careful with you. When your heart feels tired, God's strength becomes the ability to stay soft in a hard world. That is rare, that is precious, and God protects that in you. You may not feel hopeful yet, but hope is forming, quietly, faithfully, just beneath the surface. The angel says one day you will look back and realize this season did not break you. It refined you. It taught you how to trust God without needing everything to go right. That trust will carry you far. For now, you don't need to see ahead. You only need this moment of rest, this pause, this breath. God is here. His strength is present, and it is enough for this moment.
Stay with this calm. Nothing is being asked of you. The angel says God is not counting how long you have been tired. He is watching how deeply you are being healed. You may feel like you are carrying less hope lately, but hope is not gone. It is resting so it can return stronger. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength shows up as the ability to keep choosing life, even when joy feels distant. That choice matters. You may feel like your emotions come and go in waves. Some days you feel okay, other days you feel heavy again. The angel says, healing is not a straight line. It moves in circles. It revisits places to heal them deeper, and God walks with you every time. God strengthens you by helping you forgive yourself for not being okay yet. You are not late. You are not failing. You are not doing this wrong. You are exactly where you need to be to heal fully. Emotionally tired hearts often fear that rest means giving up. But God says, rest is how you survive without losing yourself. Rest is not quitting, it is wisdom, it is trust, it is obedience. The angel says, God does not ask you to carry tomorrow's worries with today's strength. Today has enough weight, and God gives enough strength for today. You don't need to solve your whole life. You don't need to understand every loss. You don't need to know how everything will work out. God does not reveal everything at once because it would overwhelm you. He reveals just enough to keep you steady. God strengthens you by giving you small mercies, moments of calm, moments of clarity, moments where you feel less alone. Those moments are not random. They are reminders that God is near. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes a quiet anchor inside you. Not excitement, not constant happiness, but steadiness. A sense that even if things shake, you will not fall apart. That steadiness comes from God. The angel says, you are not required to be inspirational right now. You are allowed to be human. You are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to need help. God does not withdraw when you feel weak. He draws closer. You may feel like your faith is smaller now, but the angel says, faith that survives exhaustion is strong faith. Faith that stays when feelings leave is deep faith, and God honors that. God strengthens you by reminding you that you are not alone in your thoughts, not alone in your fears, not alone in your questions. He is with you in all of it, even the parts you don't understand. Emotionally tired people often fear the night because thoughts grow louder. But the angel says, God is closest in the quiet hours, when distractions fade, when defenses lower, when the heart speaks honestly. God hears you then, even when you don't speak. God strengthens you by holding you through the night and into the morning. You may wake up still tired, but you will wake up not alone, and that matters. The angel says, you are learning how to let God be your strength instead of your effort. That lesson will change your life, because when God becomes your source, you stop burning out. You stop striving. You start living with peace, not because life is perfect, but because God is present. If your heart feels worn, God's strength is not far. It is already surrounding you, already supporting you, already carrying you through this season. You don't need to rush healing. You don't need to force hope. You don't need to pretend peace. God will bring those things back to you in time. For now, this is enough. This breath, this pause, this knowing that God has not left you. The angel says, you can rest now. God is holding you. Stay in this stillness. Let your shoulders soften. The angel says, you are not meant to heal all at once. You are meant to heal honestly. When you are emotionally tired, your heart needs safety before it can feel strong again, and God is that safety. You may notice you were quieter than before, less eager to explain yourself, less willing to argue. That is not weakness, that is wisdom growing. God strengthens you by teaching you what deserves your energy and what does not. You are learning to protect your peace. That is a form of strength many people never learn. The angel says, God does not shame you for feeling tired of being strong. He understands that strength without rest turns into exhaustion. So he offers rest first.
not as a reward, but as a necessity. When your emotions feel heavy, God's strength becomes a quiet permission to stop carrying what hurts you. You don't have to relive it. You don't have to justify it. You don't have to explain it. You can lay it down. God will hold it for you. The angel says, "You have been brave for a long time. Brave in ways no one applauded. Brave in silence. Brave in patience. Brave in staying kind while hurting. And God has not missed any of it." God strengthens you by reminding you that your courage is not unnoticed. He sees the inner battles. He sees the restraint. He sees the faith that stayed even when emotions struggled. You may feel like you don't recognize yourself, but God recognizes you. He knows who you are becoming, and He is guiding that process with care. When you are emotionally tired, God does not rush transformation. He allows integration. He allows your heart to catch up to what you've survived. That catching up takes time, and God gives you that time. The angel says, "You are not weak for needing reassurance." Even strong faith needs reassurance when it has been stretched. God strengthens you by speaking gently to your anxious thoughts, by reminding you that you are not alone in your mind. He is there too. You may feel like your emotions are fragile glass and you are afraid to touch them, but God is not afraid. He knows how to hold fragile things. He will not break you. The angel says, God is teaching you how to live without self-abandonment, how to listen when your heart says it needs rest, how to stop pushing past pain just to appear strong. That lesson will save you in the future. God strengthens you by slowing you down before life breaks you further. That is mercy, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. Emotionally tired hearts often fear they are disappointing God. But God is not disappointed. He is attentive. He is compassionate. He is present. He does not expect perfection. He desires closeness, and you are close to Him even now. The angel says, God is not far away watching you struggle. He is beside you, sharing the weight. When you feel like you are barely holding on, God is holding you fully. You are not hanging by a thread. You are resting in His hands. God strengthens you by reminding you that your story is not finished in this tired chapter. This chapter has a purpose. It teaches endurance without hardness, faith without force, hope without pressure. You will carry those lessons into brighter days, and they will serve you well. For now, you don't need to arrive anywhere. You don't need to feel inspired. You don't need to be strong. You only need to stay connected, and you are. God is here. He has not moved. His strength is steady. His presence is gentle, and it is enough for this moment.
Let the quiet stay a little longer. There's no clock here. The angel says, God is not impatient with the pace of your healing. He is not watching the time. He is watching your heart. When you are emotionally tired, your heart needs reassurance more than direction, and God gives that first, before steps, before plans, before answers. You may feel like you are holding yourself together with very little strength, but the angel says you are not holding yourself together. God is. Even on days when you feel fragile, even on nights when emotions feel heavy, God's strength does not depend on your awareness of it. It works quietly, faithfully, constantly. God strengthens you by reminding you that you are not required to relive your pain to justify your tiredness. What you went through was real. It mattered, and God took note. When you are emotionally tired, your body often holds what your heart hasn't released yet. Tension, restlessness, fatigue. God understands that too. He does not separate your spirit from your body. He cares for all of you. The angel says God's strength flows when you allow yourself to slow down without guilt. You are not lazy. You are healing, and healing takes energy. Energy God is restoring, slowly,
gently, in the right measure. You may feel like you are standing still, but God sees movement on the inside, movement toward peace, movement toward stability, movement toward a deeper trust. That kind of movement is not rushed. God strengthens you by removing pressure you placed on yourself, pressure to be okay, pressure to move on, pressure to explain your emotions. You don't owe anyone a version of you that hurts less. You owe yourself care, and God agrees. The angel says your sensitivity is not a flaw. It is a sign that your heart is alive. God protects alive hearts. He does not harden them. He shelters them until they can feel safely again. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes a quiet confidence that you will not always feel this way. Even if you cannot imagine relief yet, God can, and He is guiding you toward it. You may feel disconnected from your purpose right now, but purpose does not disappear because of exhaustion. It waits, patiently, until you are ready to carry it again. The angel says God does not rush you back into responsibility before restoring your heart. He knows a tired heart cannot carry heavy assignments, so He strengthens you first. You are not being set aside, you are being prepared. Emotionally tired hearts often struggle with hope. Hope feels risky because disappointment hurt deeply. But God is gentle with hope too. He does not force it. He allows it to return, slowly, in safe moments. God strengthens you by rebuilding trust, trust in Him, trust in life, trust in yourself. That trust comes back in small ways, and God honors every step. The angel says you are allowed to live at a quieter volume right now. You don't need to be loud. You don't need to be visible. You don't need to be impressive. You only need to be honest, and you are. God strengthens you by meeting you in honesty, without correction, without pressure, without judgment, just presence. If your heart feels tired, God's strength is not far away. It is already wrapping around you, already steadying you, already holding you together when you feel like falling apart. You are not walking this season alone. You are not healing alone. You are not resting alone. God is with you, in the tiredness, in the silence, in the waiting, and He will not leave until you are whole again. You can stay here. You can rest here. You can trust that God's strength is enough for you right now. Stay gentle with yourself. Nothing needs to be decided tonight. The angel says God does not rush healing because rushed healing breaks again. He rebuilds slowly, so you stay whole. When you are emotionally tired, your thoughts may turn inward. You question yourself, you question your choices, you question your worth. But God does not question you. He affirms you again and again. God strengthens you by reminding you that your worth never depended on how much you could endure. You were valuable before the struggle. You were valuable inside the struggle. You will be valuable after it ends. Nothing has been lost. The angel says God is teaching you how to live without constantly proving yourself, how to rest without apology, how to exist without explanation. That lesson is freeing, and freedom is strength. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the ability to stop arguing with your feelings. You don't have to convince yourself to feel better. You don't have to fight sadness to show faith. You can let emotions pass without judging them. God walks with you through each one. The angel says you are allowed to have good moments and bad moments in the same day. Healing allows both. God strengthens you by expanding your capacity to hold complexity without falling apart. You may feel like you've lost certainty, but God is giving you trust. Trust is quieter than certainty, but it is stronger. Certainty depends on outcomes. Trust depends on God, and God does not fail. When your emotions feel tired,
God's strength becomes the quiet courage to keep your heart open, even a little, even carefully. That openness is brave. The angel says, God is protecting your future joy by caring for your present pain. He is not ignoring what hurts. He is tending to it, patiently, lovingly, without shortcuts. You may feel like others are moving faster than you, achieving more, healing quicker. But God does not compare paths. He customizes healing. Your heart needs what it needs, and God knows exactly what that is. God strengthens you by removing the burden of comparison. Your journey is not behind. It is intentional. Emotionally tired hearts often feel like they are fading from the world, but God sees you being drawn closer to Him, away from noise, away from pressure, toward depth, toward wisdom, toward peace. The angel says, you are not disappearing, you are being refined. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the ability to be gentle without becoming passive, to rest without giving up, to pause without quitting. That balance is strength. God strengthens you by showing you that your life does not have to be loud to be meaningful. Quiet faith moves mountains too. Silent trust changes hearts too. You may feel like you don't have much to offer right now, but God values presence more than performance. You showing up with honesty matters. The angel says, you don't have to be healed to be loved. You don't have to be strong to be chosen. You don't have to be okay to belong. You already do. God strengthens you by anchoring you in belonging, not in achievement, not in endurance, but in love. That anchor does not move. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the reminder that this chapter is not the conclusion. It is a bridge between who you were and who you are becoming, and God is walking with you across it, step by step, without pushing, without leaving. You may feel like you are learning to live again, more slowly, more carefully, more honestly. That is not regression, that is wisdom taking root. The angel says, God is proud of you for not giving up on yourself, for staying soft when it would be easier to harden, for trusting God even when you feel tired. That trust is precious. God strengthens you by honoring your effort even when it feels small. Small steps still move forward. Small breaths still sustain life. Small faith still reaches God. If your heart feels worn, God's strength is steady. He is not anxious about your pace. He is not disappointed in your need for rest. He is not distant from your tiredness. He is close, closer than you think. You can stay here. You can breathe. You can trust that God is doing what you cannot see yet, and that is enough for now. God is with you, and He will keep giving strength as you need it.
Take another breath. You are allowed to pause here. The angel says, God's strength often comes as permission. Permission to rest. Permission to feel. Permission to not have answers yet. When you are emotionally tired, your mind wants solutions, but your soul wants safety. God gives safety first. He quiets the fear before He changes the situation. You may feel like your prayers are simple now, short, quiet, sometimes just silence. But God hears all of it. Silence is still a prayer when your heart is tired. The angel says God is not measuring the length of your prayers. He is receiving the honesty of them. God strengthens you by staying present even when words fail you, especially then. Emotionally tired hearts often carry hidden grief, losses no one saw, dreams that faded quietly, connections that changed. God saw every moment. Nothing slipped past Him, and He grieves with you. God strengthens you by sharing the weight you thought was yours alone. You don't have to carry it by yourself anymore. The angel says you are not weak for needing comfort. Even Jesus rested. Even Jesus wept. Even Jesus stepped away to pray when emotions were heavy. Rest is not failure. It is wisdom. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the courage to stop pretending you are okay when you are not. Honesty heals. God meets you there. You may feel like you've lost your rhythm in life. Things don't flow like they used to. But God is not concerned with speed. He is concerned with alignment. And alignment takes time. The angel says God is reordering your heart, placing peace where anxiety lived, placing trust where fear spoke loudly. That process is quiet, but it is powerful. God strengthens you by giving you discernment. You notice what drains you now, what hurts you, what overwhelms you. That awareness is protection. God is teaching you how to guard your heart without closing it. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the ability to choose gentleness over self-criticism. You stop attacking yourself for feeling this way. You start listening. Healing grows there. The angel says God is not disappointed in your emotions. He created them. He understands them. And He knows how to restore balance without erasing sensitivity. You will still feel deeply, but pain will not control you forever. God strengthens you by reminding you that joy will return, not forced, not rushed, but real and safe and lasting. You may not see it yet, but God is preparing you to receive joy without fear of losing it. That takes healing, and healing takes time. The angel says you are not stuck. You are in transition, and God walks with you through every uncertain step. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes a steady presence that does not change with your mood. He stays, even when you feel distant. Even when faith feels quiet, God stays. You don't have to reach perfectly. You don't have to believe loudly. You only need to remain open. God does the rest. The angel says you are safer than you feel, more supported than you know, more loved than you realize. God is holding you in ways you cannot see yet, and one day you will look back and understand how this season reshaped you gently. For now, you can rest. You can breathe. You can trust that God's strength is carrying you through this emotional tiredness without letting you fall. He is with you. He will stay, and He will restore you. Stay here a little longer. Nothing is asking more from you right now. The angel says God knows the exact weight your heart can carry today, and He will not place anything heavier on it. When you are emotionally tired, even small things feel big. Simple choices feel overwhelming. God understands that. He simplifies life for you in this season, one moment at a time, one breath at a time. God strengthens you by narrowing your focus to what truly matters. You don't need to solve everything. You only need to stay present. The angel says God is not disappointed that you are slower now. He is protecting you from burning out again. What broke you once will not break you again. God is wiser with your heart now. Emotionally tired hearts often feel misunderstood, like no one really sees how much effort it takes just to get through the day. But God sees every quiet battle, every unseen tear, every moment you kept going when you wanted to stop. God strengthens you by validating your experience. You are not exaggerating. You are not overreacting. You are responding to what you lived through, and God honors that truth. The angel says this season is teaching you how to receive love without earning it. That lesson changes everything. You no longer chase approval. You rest in acceptance, and rest restores strength. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the ability to let go without fear. Let go of old expectations. Let go of past versions of yourself. Let go of timelines that no longer serve you. God replaces what you release with peace. The angel says, God is not taking anything away to punish you. He is clearing space to protect you. What drained you will not define you. What hurt you will not follow you forever. God strengthens you by teaching you how to listen to your limits. Limits are not weakness, they are wisdom. You are learning how to say no without guilt, how to rest without explaining, how to choose yourself without fear. God is proud of that growth. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the quiet reassurance that you are allowed to change. You are allowed to need different things now. You are allowed to protect your peace. God supports that. The angel says, you are not losing your faith. Your faith is maturing. It is becoming less about emotion and more about trust, less about certainty and more about surrender. That kind of faith is strong, even when it feels quiet. God strengthens you by being steady when everything else feels unstable. You may feel unsure of yourself, but God is sure of you. He sees the future version of you that is healed and peaceful and grounded, and He is guiding you there, slowly, safely, lovingly. The angel says, you don't need to rush joy. Joy will come when your heart feels safe again. God is building that safety now, layer by layer, moment by moment. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes a gentle hope that doesn't pressure you, hope that waits with you, hope that understands, hope that breathes even when you struggle to. You are not failing at life. You are recovering, and recovery is holy work. God walks with you through every step of it. You are not alone in this season. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. God is near, and He will continue to give you strength until your heart feels light again. You can trust Him, even here, even now.
Let the stillness stay. There is no rush to leave it. The angel says, God often works deepest when life becomes quiet. When noise fades, truth becomes clearer. When you are emotionally tired, your heart becomes sensitive to what is real and what is not. God sharpens that awareness. He helps you release what no longer feeds your soul. God strengthens you by helping you simplify your inner world. Less noise, less pressure, more peace. You may notice you care less about things that once consumed you. That is not apathy, that is healing. The angel says,
God is teaching you what deserves your energy and what does not. Your strength is precious now. He protects it. Emotionally tired hearts often feel guilt for resting, but rest is not selfish. Rest is repair, and God designed it. God strengthens you by reminding you that even the earth rests. Seasons change, fields lie fallow, growth pauses so life can return stronger. You are allowed the same grace. The angel says, this pause is not punishment, it is preparation. What is coming next requires a healed heart, and God will not send you forward until you are ready. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the patience to let healing unfold without forcing outcomes. You stop trying to control the future. You start trusting God with it. That trust lightens the heart. You may feel moments of unexpected calm, small, brief, but real. Those moments are signs of restoration. God strengthens you by giving you glimpses of what peace will feel like again, so you remember it is possible. The angel says, you are not broken, you are overwhelmed, and now you are healing. There is a difference. Broken things need fixing. Healed things need time. God knows which one you are. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes a steady inner voice that says you will make it through. Even if today feels heavy, even if tomorrow feels uncertain, God is already in your future, and He is preparing it with care. The angel says, you don't need to fear your emotions anymore. They are not enemies, they are messengers, and God helps you listen without being consumed by them. You are learning balance, and balance brings strength. God strengthens you by anchoring you in the present moment, not the past, not the future, just now, right here. That is where healing lives. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the ability to breathe through discomfort without panicking. You learn that feelings rise and fall, and you remain. That realization is powerful. The angel says, you are stronger than you think, not because you endure endlessly, but because you choose to heal honestly. God honors that choice. You may not see the full picture yet, but God does, and He is pleased with how you are walking through this season. Slowly, carefully, with humility. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes a deep inner knowing that you are safe in His hands. No matter how you feel, no matter what changes, no matter what comes next, you belong to God, and He does not abandon what He loves. The angel says, you will feel lighter again. You will laugh freely again. You will trust without fear again. But for now, you are exactly where you need to be, being held, being restored, being strengthened in ways that last. You can rest here. You can breathe here. You can trust here. God is with you, and He will keep giving you strength until your heart is full again. Stay with this calm. You don't have to understand everything for God to be working. The angel says, some healing happens below the surface, like roots growing where no one can see. When you are emotionally tired, you may feel like nothing is changing, but God is strengthening you in places you haven't looked yet. Your patience, your compassion, your discernment. These are quiet strengths, but they last. God strengthens you by teaching you how to live without rushing yourself. You are learning that urgency is not the same as purpose, and peace is not the same as giving up. The angel says, God is removing the fear of falling apart because you are learning you can feel deeply and still be okay. You can have hard days and still be held. That knowledge changes everything. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the calm confidence that you don't need to be rescued from yourself. God is not afraid of your emotions. He sits with you in them. That presence is strength. You may notice you cry differently now. Less panic, more release. That is healing. God strengthens you by allowing tears to cleanse your heart instead of drowning it. The angel says, nothing about you is too much for God.
Not your questions, not your sadness, not your exhaustion. He is not overwhelmed by what overwhelms you. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes a steady reassurance that you are allowed to take up space even in your weakness. You don't need to shrink yourself to be loved. God meets you as you are, fully. The angel says, this season is shaping your voice. You will speak differently after this, with more honesty, more depth, more grace, because you know what it feels like to be tired and still be held. God strengthens you by turning pain into wisdom, not all at once, but gently, over time. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the ability to forgive yourself for not being who you used to be. You are not meant to go back. You are meant to grow forward, and growth often begins in rest. The angel says, God is restoring your relationship with yourself. You are learning to listen instead of criticizing, to care instead of judging. That inner kindness is strength. God strengthens you by teaching you how to be safe with your own heart. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes a deep sense of being carried, even on days when you do very little, even on days when progress feels invisible. You are still moving forward because God is moving with you. The angel says, you don't need to fear this quiet season. It is not empty. It is full of restoration, full of alignment, full of God's presence. When you are emotionally tired, God gives strength not by demanding more, but by giving Himself. And that is enough. For today, for this moment, for you. You can rest now. You are safe. God is near, and He will keep giving you strength until your heart is full again.
Remain here. There is nothing missing from this moment. The angel says, God is not waiting for you to become stronger before He comes closer. He is closest when you feel weakest. When you are emotionally tired, you may feel disconnected from who you once were, but God is not confused about who you are. He sees you clearly, and He loves you steadily. God strengthens you by reminding you that identity does not vanish in exhaustion. It rests, and it returns with more truth. The angel says, God is teaching you how to live from the inside out, not from pressure, not from expectation, but from peace. Peace becomes your guide now. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the wisdom to stop forcing alignment with things that no longer fit. You are allowed to outgrow old roles. You are allowed to choose differently. God supports that courage. The angel says, this season is not shrinking you, it is refining you. You are becoming clearer, more honest, more grounded. That clarity is strength. God strengthens you by teaching you how to listen to your intuition without fear. He speaks there too, quietly, gently. You may notice your heart feels softer now, more open. That softness is not vulnerability without protection. It is trust with boundaries. God protects what He softens. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the reassurance that you are not fragile. You are tender, and tenderness handled by God becomes resilience. The angel says, you don't have to prove how tired you are to deserve rest. God already knows. He sees beyond words, beyond explanations, beyond appearances. God strengthens you by removing the need to justify your need for care. You are enough as you are. You may feel moments of loneliness, even with God near, but loneliness does not mean abandonment. It means your heart is learning to rely on God more deeply. The angel says, God fills quiet spaces with presence, not noise. Presence lasts longer. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the ability to sit with yourself without running away. You are learning that you are safe inside your own mind again. That is healing. God strengthens you by restoring inner safety. so fear no longer leads. You may feel like you are rebuilding your life piece by piece, and you are, but God is guiding your hands. Nothing is random. Nothing is wasted. The angel says, even your pauses are purposeful. Even your tears are counted. Even your silence is heard. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes a quiet resilience that does not announce itself. It simply holds and holds and holds until the weight lifts. You may not remember the exact moment you started healing, because healing often begins when you stop trying. God strengthens you by doing what you cannot, while you rest, while you breathe, while you trust. The angel says, this is not the end of your strength. It is the beginning of a deeper one, a strength rooted in grace, a strength shaped by love, a strength that does not leave when emotions rise. God is forming that strength in you now. You don't have to hurry. You don't have to strive. You don't have to be anything other than honest. God is with you. He is strengthening you right here, right now, and He will not stop until your heart feels whole again. Stay present. Nothing else is required of you. The angel says, God's strength does not arrive as a sudden rush. It settles like warmth returning to cold hands, slow, certain. When you are emotionally tired, you may fear that this heaviness will last forever, but God measures seasons, not moments, and this season has an end. God strengthens you by reminding you that feelings are temporary, but His presence is constant. You are not stuck, you are passing through. The angel says, God is teaching you how to rest without collapsing, how to pause without losing direction, how to heal without isolating. These lessons build a steadier future. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the ability to let life be simple. Eat, sleep, breathe. That simplicity is not small, it is sacred. God strengthens you by caring about what you think is ordinary. He is near in the quiet routines, in the small comforts, in the unnoticed moments. The angel says, you are learning how to receive support without shame. God uses rest as much as effort, silence as much as action. You don't need to earn renewal. It is given. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the courage to let others misunderstand you while you protect your peace. You don't need to explain your healing. God validates it. The angel says, you are not behind in life. You are aligned with what your heart needs now. Alignment is more important than speed. God anchors you in truth instead of comparison. You are not late. You are on time for your healing. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the quiet knowing that you don't have to fight every thought. You can let them pass. God remains. That calm is strength. The angel says, God is softening the parts of you that had to harden to survive. You no longer need that armor. He is your protection now. God strengthens you by replacing fear with trust that feels safe. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the ability to sit in uncertainty without panic. You learn that not knowing does not mean not being held. God holds you in the unknown. The angel says, your heart is learning a deeper language, one that doesn't shout, one that listens. God speaks there, quietly, faithfully. God strengthens you by teaching you how to hear Him without strain. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the steady rhythm of staying alive with intention. Each day is not about achievement, it is about presence, and presence is enough. The angel says, this season will make sense later, not now. Now is for care. Now is for rest. Now is for trust. God strengthens you by carrying what you cannot. You don't have to be brave today. You don't have to be strong today. You only have to be here. God is here too, and that is more than enough. Stay present. Nothing else is required of you. The angel says,
God's strength does not arrive as a sudden rush. It settles, like warmth returning to cold hands, slow, certain. When you are emotionally tired, you may fear that this heaviness will last forever, but God measures seasons, not moments, and this season has an end. God strengthens you by reminding you that feelings are temporary, but His presence is constant. You are not stuck, you are passing through. The angel says, God is teaching you how to rest without collapsing, how to pause without losing direction, how to heal without isolating. These lessons build a steadier future. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the ability to let life be simple. Eat, sleep, breathe. That simplicity is not small, it is sacred. God strengthens you by caring about what you think is ordinary. He is near in the quiet routines, in the small comforts, in the unnoticed moments. The angel says, you are learning how to receive support without shame. God uses rest as much as effort, silence as much as action. You don't need to earn renewal, it is given. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the courage to let others misunderstand you while you protect your peace. You don't need to explain your healing. God validates it. The angel says, you are not behind in life. You are aligned with what your heart needs now. Alignment is more important than speed. God anchors you in truth instead of comparison. You are not late. You are on time for your healing. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the quiet knowing that you don't have to fight every thought. You can let them pass. God remains. That calm is strength. The angel says, God is softening the parts of you that had to harden to survive. You no longer need that armor. He is your protection now. God strengthens you by replacing fear with trust that feels safe. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the ability to sit in uncertainty without panic. You learn that not knowing does not mean not being held. God holds you in the unknown. The angel says, your heart is learning a deeper language, one that doesn't shout, one that listens. God speaks there, quietly, faithfully. God strengthens you by teaching you how to hear Him without strain. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the steady rhythm of staying alive with intention. Each day is not about achievement, it is about presence, and presence is enough.
Stay. Even this moment matters. The angel says God is not counting how many times you feel tired. He is counting how deeply you are loved. When you are emotionally tired, your heart may replay old memories, moments you wish had gone differently, words you wish you had said. But God does not trap you in the past, He redeems it. God strengthens you by loosening the grip of regret. You are not meant to relive pain to learn from it. God teaches gently. The angel says you are learning how to forgive life for not turning out the way you expected. That forgiveness brings peace, and peace restores strength. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the ability to stop replaying what hurt you and start receiving what is healing you. Healing does not shout, it whispers. God is whispering now. The angel says God is closer than the thoughts that try to overwhelm you, closer than fear, closer than doubt, closer than exhaustion. He is within your breath, within your stillness. God strengthens you by reminding you that you are never alone inside your mind. He is there too. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the calm awareness that you don't have to control how healing happens. You only need to allow it. God handles the rest. The angel says your heart is not fragile. It has survived what could have hardened it. That softness is courage, and God protects it. God strengthens you by restoring your trust in yourself. You are learning to believe that your feelings are valid, that your needs are real, that your boundaries matter. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the quiet confidence to say, "This is enough for today," and stop. God smiles at that honesty. The angel says you are allowed to enjoy small joys again, a moment of calm, a gentle laugh, a deep breath. These are not betrayals of your pain. They are signs of life returning. God strengthens you by letting joy return without fear. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the ability to hope without pressure, hope that does not demand a timeline, hope that waits, hope that breathes. The angel says God is not building you to endure endless pain. He is preparing you for peace. This tiredness is not your destination, it is a passage. God strengthens you by walking every step with you, never ahead, never behind, always beside. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the quiet certainty that your story is still unfolding. This chapter does not define the whole book. The angel says God is writing with compassion, with patience, with love. You are safe in His hands. You are seen. You are valued. You are held. And you will not stay tired forever. God will restore your strength in His time, in His way. Until then, you can rest. You can breathe. You can trust. God is here, and He is not going anywhere. Be gentle with this moment. It is carrying you. The angel says God is not watching for when you finally feel strong again. He is present while you feel tired. When you are emotionally tired, you may think you are failing at faith, but faith is not energy. Faith is staying, and you are still here. God strengthens you by honoring your staying. You did not leave. You did not shut down completely. You stayed open. That matters. The angel says God does not need your emotions to be stable to work in your life. He works in chaos too. He works in confusion. He works in fatigue. God strengthens you by being consistent when you cannot be. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the quiet reminder that you are not a burden, not to Him, not to love, not to this world. You are allowed to take up space even while healing. The angel says you are learning how to let God love you without suspicion, without fear that it will disappear. That learning takes time, and God is patient. God strengthens you by staying kind when you expect distance. You may notice you no longer react the way you used to. Less urgency, less panic. That is growth, even if you feel tired. The angel says your nervous system is learning peace again, and peace returns slowly, gently, like dawn. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the reassurance that you don't have to explain your healing to anyone. It is sacred, it is yours, and God is guarding it. God strengthens you by giving you permission to protect your heart without guilt. Boundaries are love. Rest is wisdom. Silence is not failure. The angel says God is rewriting how you understand strength. It is no longer pushing through pain. It is listening to it and responding with care. That is strength that lasts. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the calm certainty that you are not running out of time. Life is not passing you by. Healing is part of living, and God is right on schedule. The angel says you are allowed to trust again at your own pace. God does not force trust. He earns it with presence, and He has been present every step of the way. God strengthens you by letting you feel safe enough to soften again. Softness is not weakness, it is recovery. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the steady ground beneath shifting emotions. You may sway, but you will not fall. God holds you upright. The angel says this tiredness will not define your future. It is shaping it. You will move forward with more wisdom, more compassion, more truth, because you rested when your heart asked you to. God strengthens you by honoring your listening. You listened to your limits. You listened to your needs. You listened to His quiet voice, and that voice will continue to guide you. You are not lost. You are being led. Even now, especially now, God is with you. He is strengthening you in ways that do not rush, in ways that do not break, in ways that last. You can rest here. You are safe, and you are deeply loved.
Stay with the breath. It is steady for a reason. The angel says God designed you to recover, not just survive. When you are emotionally tired, your heart may fear that something is wrong with you, but nothing is wrong. Something is healing. God strengthens you by normalizing rest after long endurance. You carried much for a long time. Now you are being carried. The angel says God does not shame you for slowing down. He shields you from what would overwhelm you. Protection often looks like quiet. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the permission to stop replaying conversations that already ended. You don't have to win arguments that live only in your mind. Peace matters more. God strengthens you by teaching you how to release mental weight. You are learning to choose peace over being right. That choice frees the heart. The angel says you may feel detached from old goals. That does not mean you lost ambition. It means your values shifted. God is refining what truly matters to you. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the clarity to see what drains you and step back without guilt. Energy is sacred now. God helps you protect it. The angel says you are learning how to feel without drowning, to notice emotion without becoming it. That distance is strength returning. God strengthens you by grounding you in the present moment. Here is safe. Here is enough. You may feel a quiet sadness at times, not sharp, not overwhelming, just there. That sadness is part of release. God stays with you through it. The angel says you don't have to rush joy. Joy returns when the heart trusts again. Trust is growing, even if slowly. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the gentle hope that does not demand proof. Hope that waits. Hope that stays. Hope that breathes. God strengthens you by reminding you that you are allowed to change your mind about people, about plans, about paths. Growth requires flexibility. The angel says God is more concerned with your peace than your productivity. Peace fuels everything else. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the ability to listen to your body without fear. Fatigue is not failure, it is information. God helps you respond wisely. The angel says you are learning how to be kind to the parts of you that once had to be strong alone. Those parts can rest now. God is here. God strengthens you by standing guard over your heart while it heals. Nothing harmful gets past Him. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the quiet certainty that you are still moving forward, even when it feels slow. Healing has its own pace, and God honors it. The angel says you will look back one day and realize this season taught you how to live gently, how to love wisely, how to trust deeply. Those lessons will stay with you. God strengthens you by turning tiredness into tenderness, and tenderness into wisdom. For now, you can rest, you can breathe, you can let this moment hold you. God is here. He is steady. He is kind. And He will continue to give you strength until your heart feels light again. Stay in this softness. It is not empty. It is full of care. The angel says, God is not asking you to understand everything that happened to you. He is asking you to trust that it did not happen alone. When you were emotionally tired, your heart may still feel guarded. That is okay. God does not force doors open. He waits until you feel safe enough to unlock them. God strengthens you by honoring your pace. There is no deadline on healing. The angel says you were learning how to sit with uncertainty without fear taking control. That calm did not come from nowhere. It came from God quietly stabilizing you. When you were emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the gentle ability to accept today as it is. Not perfect, not finished, but real. And that acceptance eases the heart. God strengthens you by removing the pressure to fix everything at once. You are allowed to heal in layers. The angel says, some days you will feel stronger. Some days you will feel tired again. That does not mean you are going backward. Healing is not linear. God remains constant through every change. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the reassurance that setbacks do not erase progress. You are still healing. You are still growing. The angel says, God is teaching you how to trust quiet joy. Joy that doesn't announce itself. Joy that simply exists. You will recognize it when it comes, and you will not fear it. God strengthens you by helping you feel safe when things feel good again. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the ability to rest without worrying about what comes next. Tomorrow will come, but right now, you are held. The angel says, you don't have to prepare for future pain. God will meet you there if it comes, but today is for rest. God anchors you in today's grace. You may feel a quiet gratitude rising, not loud, not overwhelming, just present. That gratitude is a sign of healing. The angel says, God is restoring your capacity to feel peace without fear. You are learning that calm can last. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the deep inner knowing that you are safe in His care. No matter how you feel, no matter what you face, God is steady, God is kind, and God is near. The angel says, you are not forgotten in this quiet season. You are being rebuilt, carefully, lovingly, with intention. God strengthens you by being patient with every part of you. Nothing is rushed, nothing is ignored. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the quiet courage to trust Him one moment at a time. That is all He asks, and that is enough. You can rest here. You can breathe deeply. You can let go of the weight for just a moment longer. God is holding you, and He will continue to give you strength until your tiredness fades and peace feels natural again. Stay just a little longer. Nothing is pulling you away. The angel says, God is not disappointed by how long healing takes. He is committed to how well it lasts. When you are emotionally tired, you may wonder if you will ever feel like yourself again. But God is not restoring an old version of you. He is shaping a wiser one. God strengthens you by letting you grow without rushing maturity. The angel says you are learning how to trust silence without assuming abandonment. Silence does not mean absence. It often means closeness. God is near even when He is quiet. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the reassurance that you are not invisible. You are seen deeply, known fully, loved completely. God strengthens you by reminding you that you don't need to perform healing. You don't need to show progress. You don't need to explain your process. Healing happens whether others see it or not.
The angel says God is protecting your heart from rushing back into spaces that once drained you. Not everything deserves access to you anymore. That discernment is strength. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the clarity to choose peace over familiarity. Even if peace feels unfamiliar at first, God walks with you as you learn it. The angel says your heart is learning how to feel safe without being on guard. That safety comes from God's presence, not from control, not from perfection. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the quiet release of expectations you carried for too long. You don't have to be everything to everyone. You only have to be honest with yourself. God supports that honesty. The angel says you are learning how to receive rest without fear that everything will fall apart. Nothing will. God is holding what you release. God strengthens you by teaching you to trust Him with the things you cannot manage anymore. You were never meant to carry everything alone. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the calm confidence that you can take life one moment at a time and still move forward. Small steps count. Small faith counts. Small peace counts.
The angel says you are not losing time. You are gaining depth, and depth changes how you live. God strengthens you by shaping your inner world before expanding your outer one. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the ability to sit with yourself without judgment. You learn to be a safe place for your own heart. That is healing. The angel says God is not leaving you in this tiredness. He is walking you through it, and every step matters, even the quiet ones. God strengthens you by staying patient when you need patience the most. You don't have to rush toward answers. Peace comes first. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the steady reminder that you are still becoming. This is not the end. This is not all there is. God is still writing your story, with care, with love, with purpose. You can trust Him with this chapter. You can rest here a little longer. God is with you. He is strengthening you even now. Remain here. Nothing is slipping away from you. The angel says God is not measuring your progress by how productive you feel. He measures it by how gently you are learning to live. When you are emotionally tired, you may feel pressure to return to who you were. But God is not asking you to go backward. He is guiding you forward with more care. God strengthens you by helping you accept that change is not loss, it is growth. The angel says you are learning how to let God love you in quiet ways, without excitement, without intensity, just steady presence. That kind of love lasts. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the ability to stop fighting yourself. You stop forcing feelings. You stop demanding clarity. You allow what is, and peace grows there. God strengthens you by helping you feel safe in uncertainty. You may not know what comes next, but you know who walks with you, and that is enough. The angel says God is softening the inner voice that once pushed you too hard. That voice becomes kinder now, more patient. That kindness is strength returning. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the courage to choose rest, even when guilt whispers. God's voice is louder, and His voice says, "You are allowed." The angel says you are learning how to live without bracing for disappointment. You don't need to stay guarded forever. God will protect you as you heal. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the reassurance that your heart will not always feel heavy. Lightness will return, naturally, safely. God strengthens you by reminding you that joy is not fragile.
It does not disappear forever. It waits until your heart is ready. The angel says you are allowed to enjoy calm without waiting for something bad to happen. Peace is not a trick, it is a gift. God gives it freely. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the deep inner quiet that holds you steady when emotions shift. You may feel waves, but you are anchored. God is your anchor. The angel says you are not alone inside this tiredness. God is not standing outside it. He is sitting with you inside it, sharing the weight. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the certainty that you are loved even when you feel empty. Love does not leave when energy runs out. God stays. The angel says this season is teaching you how to trust God without urgency, without panic, without fear. That trust is deepening, and depth is strength. God strengthens you by reminding you that your life is not on hold. Healing is living. Rest is living. Becoming whole is living. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the gentle confidence that you don't need to hurry back into noise. Silence is doing important work. The angel says God is building a steadier foundation beneath your life, one that will hold when storms come again, and they will not break you, because you rested, because you healed, because God strengthened you. You can remain here. You can breathe deeply. You can trust this moment. God is with you. He is patient. He is faithful. And He will continue to give you strength until tiredness fades and peace becomes familiar again.
This is the end of striving, not the end of your story. The angel says, God does not leave you once strength begins to return. He stays to teach you how to keep it. When you are emotionally tired and the world feels heavy, God becomes your steady ground. Not dramatic, not forceful, just faithful. You may not wake up one day suddenly healed, but you will notice you breathe easier, you react less, you rest without fear. That is strength returning. God strengthens you in ways that don't announce themselves, ways that last. The angel says, you are not meant to forget this season. You were meant to carry its wisdom, to remember what it taught you about rest, about boundaries, about grace. When you are emotionally tired, God's strength becomes the quiet ability to live gently without apology. You stop proving, you start being, and that is freedom. The angel says God will continue to walk with you, even when life feels normal again, especially then. He does not only show up in pain, He stays in peace. When you are emotionally tired, and even now as calm settles in, God's strength becomes a deep inner assurance that you are safe in your own life again. That safety was built here, in stillness, in honesty, in rest. The angel says you will trust yourself again. You will trust God again, not blindly, but deeply, and that trust will carry you forward. You are not behind. You are becoming, and becoming takes time. God honors that time. He honors you as you are right now. You can rise slowly. You can move gently. You can live softly. Strength will meet you there because God is there. He always has been, and He always will be. Rest now. Breathe deeply. This chapter is complete, and you are still held.